When spiritual awakening transforms your reality, it doesn't just change your inner world, it begins to ripple outward, touching every aspect of your life and the lives of those around you. It's like throwing a stone into still water. The initial moment of awakening is the drop, but the ripples, they travel far beyond the point of impact, reaching places you may never see. One of the most immediate changes is how your relationships evolve. People who once felt like a central part of your life may start to drift away, and this can be uncomfortable. It's not because you've done anything wrong, or they have. It's simply that your frequency has shifted, and not everyone will resonate with the new energy you're carrying. You might find that conversations that once interested you now feel empty, or that you no longer see the world in the same way as the people around you. This can create a sense of disconnection, but it's important to remember that this is natural. Growth often requires letting go.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
At the same time, you'll notice new people entering your life, those who align with the person you're becoming rather than the person you've been. These connections feel effortless, natural, and deeply fulfilling. You'll find yourself drawn to people who inspire you, challenge you to grow, and share your vision of a more conscious, compassionate world. And here's the beautiful part: the more authentic you become, the more you attract people who are also living in their truth. It's as if your awakening gives others permission to awaken too. But relationships are just one piece of the puzzle. Awakening also transforms how you interact with the world at large. You may find yourself becoming more conscious of your choices, what you consume, how you spend your time, and even how you treat the planet. You start to realize that everything is connected. The food you eat, the energy you put into your work, the way you speak to a stranger, all of it carries a vibration. And when you're aligned with higher frequencies, you naturally want to bring more harmony into the world. This shift often leads to a desire to serve, not in a self-sacrificial way, but in a way that feels joyful and aligned. You begin to see opportunities everywhere to make a difference, whether that's through your career, your creative expression, or simply showing up as a source of kindness in your daily life. But here's something to think about: service doesn't have to be grand or public. Sometimes the most profound impact you can have is through small, quiet acts, offering a listening ear, sharing a kind word, or simply holding space for someone to be themselves. As your external world shifts, so does your internal experience of time. You might notice that time begins to feel different, less linear, more fluid. The past no longer holds the same weight, and the future feels less like something to control and more like something to flow into. This doesn't mean you stop setting goals or making plans, but your relationship with them changes. You start to trust that things will unfold as they're meant to, and this trust creates a sense of ease that wasn't there before. When you awaken, something extraordinary happens. Your entire perception of reality begins to shift, almost like a veil has been lifted. But awakening isn't just about feeling enlightened or having a few profound moments of insight. It's a multi-layered, transformative process that rewires your understanding of yourself, your purpose, and the world. Let me ask you, if your entire life until now has been based on half-truths and illusions, are you truly ready to see the full picture? Awakening begins with a sense of profound self-awareness, a realization that you are not merely your thoughts, emotions, or physical body. You begin to see yourself as something far greater: a soul, a timeless being on a mission to grow, learn, and contribute to the collective evolution of humanity. This realization isn't intellectual, it's visceral. You feel it in your core. It's as if every cell in your body suddenly remembers its divine origin. But with this realization comes responsibility. You now understand that every thought you hold, every action you take, every relationship you nurture contributes to the greater whole. The question then arises, am I living in alignment with my highest truth? This question, though simple, is often the catalyst for profound change. Once you awaken, you'll notice that your old ways of being, old habits, fears, and limiting beliefs begin to feel foreign. It's like wearing clothes that no longer fit. You might find yourself questioning friendships, careers, or even long-held dreams. This isn't because these things were bad or wrong. It's because you've outgrown them. And this can be deeply uncomfortable. But discomfort is part of the process. Growth is never easy, and awakening is, in many ways, the ultimate act of growth. It requires shedding layers of conditioning and illusions that have kept you small. Many people resist this process because it can feel like losing everything they once identified with. But in truth, you're not losing anything of value, you're simply making space for who you truly are to emerge. One of the most immediate changes you'll notice after awakening is your relationship with fear. Fear begins to lose its grip on you. Why? Because you realize that fear is rooted in illusion. Most of what we fear, failure, rejection, loss, is tied to an identity we've constructed based on ego and societal expectations. Awakening dissolves the ego's hold over you, revealing that you are not your achievements, possessions, or even your relationships. You are the infinite awareness behind it all. When fear no longer dictates your actions, what's left? Freedom. The freedom to follow your intuition, to take risks, to live authentically. This freedom doesn't mean life becomes easy or free of challenges. It means you face those challenges with courage and clarity. You begin to see obstacles not as barriers but as opportunities for growth. Let me ask you something. How would your life change if you stopped letting fear control your decisions? Pause and reflect on that for a moment. Another profound shift is the deepening of your intuition. You'll start to notice that gut feelings and subtle nudges from the universe become more frequent and accurate. This is because awakening reconnects you with your inner guidance system, the part of you that has always known the way, but was drowned out by the noise of the world. Intuition is not just a tool for personal decision-making, it's a bridge to the divine. When you trust your intuition, you're essentially trusting the universe. You're saying, I trust that I'm being guided, even if I don't fully understand how or why. This trust is liberating. It allows you to surrender control, which paradoxically gives you more control over your life. But let's be honest, trusting your intuition can be terrifying at first. It often asks you to step into the unknown, to take leaps of faith that defy logic. Here's the secret: the more you trust it, the stronger it becomes. And eventually, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. Awakening also transforms your relationships. As you grow, you'll naturally attract people who align with your new frequency and drift away from those who don't. This can be painful, especially if it involves letting go of long-standing relationships. But remember, every relationship serves a purpose. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons, others stay to walk the path with you. You'll also find that your capacity for love and compassion expands exponentially. You begin to see others not as separate individuals, but as reflections of yourself. Their pain becomes your pain, and their joy becomes your joy. This isn't a burden, it's a gift. It allows you to connect on a much deeper level, creating relationships that are authentic, supportive, and transformative. But here's the paradox: even as you feel more connected to others, you also become more comfortable being alone. Solitude no longer feels lonely, it feels sacred. It becomes a space where you can recharge, reflect, and deepen your connection with the divine. Speaking of the divine, your relationship with it will never be the same. Awakening is, at its core, a reunion with the divine. Whether you call it God, Source, the universe, or something else, awakening helps you see that this presence has always been within you. It's not something external to seek, it's something internal to remember. This connection brings an unshakable sense of peace. You realize that no matter what happens in the external world, you are eternally supported and loved. This doesn't mean you never experience pain or struggle. It means you face those experiences with a deeper sense of trust and surrender. Let me ask you again, what would your life look like if you fully trusted that everything is happening for your highest good? Finally, awakening activates your spiritual gifts. These gifts are unique to each person. For some, it might be healing. For others, it's creativity, teaching, or even the ability to inspire others through presence alone. These gifts are not meant for personal gain, they are meant to be shared. They are your contribution to the collective. But with great power comes great responsibility. Awakening isn't about becoming special or better than others. It's about serving others. It's about using your gifts to uplift, inspire, and heal. And this requires humility, discipline, and integrity. So as you embark on this journey of awakening, remember, it's not a destination. It's a lifelong process of growth, discovery, and service. There will be moments of doubt, fear, and discomfort. But there will also be moments of profound joy, clarity, and connection. Awakening doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy. In fact, it often feels like the opposite. Everything you thought you knew is flipped upside down. Old patterns collapse and situations arise that push you to your limits. This isn't a punishment, nor is it random. It's a kind of refinement, a way to strip away everything that no longer fits the person you're becoming. It can feel brutal. Relationships dissolve. Careers fall apart. Even your health might feel challenged. These moments are the sacred tests that force you to face yourself. They reveal the parts of you that resist change, cling to comfort, or operate out of fear. And they demand that you rise above. What's fascinating is that these challenges seem tailor-made for you. They hit exactly where you're most vulnerable. If you've built your identity around external success, you may face failure. If you've relied on others to define your worth, you may find yourself alone. These moments are designed to crack the illusions wide open. The question isn't, why is this happening to me? It's, who am I without all these attachments? When things fall apart, it feels personal. But what's really happening is a clearing. Life is making space for what's real. The things that leave are the things that were never truly yours. What remains is what's eternal, the core of who you are. And yet, this process isn't about passively watching everything crumble. It's about how you respond. Do you let fear take over? Do you fight to cling to what's comfortable? Or do you face the storm with courage? Here's something people rarely talk about: awakening can feel lonely. Not because you're truly alone, but because the world you once knew no longer feels like home. You might notice that the conversations you used to enjoy now feel shallow. The routines you once followed feel meaningless. Even the people closest to you might not understand what you're going through. This isn't because you're better than anyone else. It's because you're seeing life differently. You're no longer satisfied with surface-level answers or distractions. You crave depth. You crave truth. But with that craving comes a challenge. How do you stay connected to a world that often feels disconnected? How do you engage with people who don't see what you see? These questions don't have easy answers, but they force you to grow. They force you to find new ways of relating to others while staying true to yourself. One of the most difficult aspects of awakening is letting go of control. We like to believe we're in charge of our lives, that we can plan and predict our way to happiness. But awakening shows you how little control you actually have. This isn't an easy truth to accept. It feels like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking down into the unknown. Your mind screams for certainty, for guarantees, but life isn't interested in your comfort. It's asking for your trust. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means recognizing that there's a rhythm to life that's bigger than you. It means learning to flow with that rhythm instead of fighting it. And it means accepting that not everything will make sense right away. This is where patience comes in. Awakening isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process that unfolds over time, often in ways you don't expect. There will be moments when it feels like nothing is happening, when you wonder if you've somehow gone backward. These moments are part of the test. Can you be still in the uncertainty? Can you trust the process even when it feels like nothing is working? Another challenge of awakening is facing your own shadow. This is the part of yourself that you'd rather not see, the fears, insecurities, and unhealed wounds that you've buried deep inside. Awakening brings these shadows to the surface, not to punish you, but to free you. It's not easy to look at the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It's uncomfortable to admit that you've been holding on to resentment, jealousy, or self-doubt. But until you face these parts of yourself, they'll continue to control you from the background. Awakening is about integrating these shadows, not rejecting them. It's about seeing them for what they are, parts of you that need healing, not condemnation. When you bring light to your shadow, it loses its power. This process of facing your shadow often mirrors itself in your external life. You might notice that certain people or situations seem to trigger you more than usual. These triggers are clues. They show you where you still have work to do. For example, if someone's success makes you feel inadequate, it's not really about them. It's about your own fear of failure or unworthiness. If someone's criticism makes you defensive, it's not about their opinion, it's about your own need for approval. The external world becomes a kind of mirror, reflecting back the parts of yourself that need attention. This can be frustrating, but it's also incredibly freeing. Once you recognize the pattern, you can break it. One of the most beautiful, yet challenging aspects of awakening is the realization that you are connected to everything. This isn't an abstract idea, it's something you feel. You begin to see that your thoughts, actions, and energy ripple out into the world in ways you can't always see. This interconnectedness brings a sense of responsibility. You realize that how you show up in the world matters. The energy you bring to your relationships, your work, and even your daily interactions has an impact. This responsibility isn't about guilt or obligation. It's about recognizing your power. Every choice you make is an opportunity to contribute to the collective energy of the world. Will you choose fear or will you choose love? But this awareness can also be overwhelming. You might feel the weight of the world's pain and wonder how you can possibly make a difference. The truth is, you don't have to fix everything. Your only job is to show up as authentically, and compassionately as you can in each moment. Even small acts of kindness and understanding can have a ripple effect. You may never see the full impact of your actions, but that doesn't mean they don't matter. And then there's the test of staying grounded. Awakening opens you up to new levels of awareness, but it can also make you feel unanchored. You might find yourself questioning reality itself, wondering what's real and what's not. This is why staying grounded is so important. It's about finding balance between the spiritual and the physical, between expansion and stability. You're still here, living a human life. And that life deserves your full presence. Grounding doesn't mean shutting out the spiritual. It means integrating it into your everyday life. It's about bringing the insights you've gained into your relationships, your work, and your daily routines. How do you do this? By staying present, by taking care of your body and mind, by spending time in nature, connecting with others, and finding joy in the simple moments. Awakening isn't about escaping the world, it's about engaging with it more fully. It's about living with more awareness, more compassion, and more intention. And maybe that's the greatest challenge of all, to live as the person you've always been, but with a deeper understanding of who you are. When you awaken, the world doesn't change, you do. Everything around you remains as it is, but your perception sharpens, and your ability to respond becomes more intentional. Living as the awakened is not about perfection or detachment, it's about mastery. And mastery is subtle. It's choosing presence over distraction, love over fear, and truth over convenience in the smallest moments. One of the first things you recognize is that life flows. It's always moving, always shifting, whether you resist it or not. The awakened don't fight the current, they move with it. This doesn't mean passivity, it means clarity. You learn to let go of what isn't yours and embrace what is, trusting that what's meant for you will always find its way. But living in this flow requires awareness. You can no longer move unconsciously through life, blaming circumstances or others for your feelings or situations. You realize that your inner state creates your outer reality. If you're holding on to anger, resentment, or fear, it will ripple into your relationships, your work, and your opportunities. The awakened take responsibility not as a burden, but as a power. This newfound awareness also changes how you approach challenges. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" Every conflict becomes growth, every delay becomes patience, and every loss becomes clarity. You see life not as a series of problems to solve, but as a teacher guiding you toward wisdom. Your relationships shift as well. You no longer look for others to fill a void or validate your worth. Instead, you approach connections as a way to give, to grow, and to reflect. You love without clinging and let go without bitterness. You see others as mirrors, showing you the parts of yourself that still need attention. But most importantly, living as the awakened means embracing the now. The past no longer defines you, and the future no longer frightens you. You understand that the only real power lies in the present moment, where your thoughts, words, and actions can align with your highest truth. Mastering this flow is not about achieving some final state of enlightenment. It's about staying open, grounded, and true moment by moment. And in doing so, you discover the beauty of simply being alive.